April 26, 1986, 1:23 a.m. In a small town in Soviet Ukraine, the lights went out. Not because of a power cut, because of an explosion so catastrophic. Scientists said it couldn't happen. This is the story of the worst nuclear disaster in human history. A night where a handful of decisions, made by ordinary men, nearly made Europe uninhabitable for 500 years. Pripyat, Ukraine, a city built for the future. 50,000 people lived here, engineers, scientists, their families. They had an amusement park, a swimming pool, a football stadium. They had everything. Chernobyl nuclear power plant sat just 3 kilometers away. It was their pride, the crown jewel of Soviet engineering. Reactor number 4 was supposed to be indestructible. The people of Pripyat went to bed on April 25th with no reason to fear. They would never come back. On that night, engineers were running a safety test. The idea was simple. Could the reactor power its own cooling pumps during a blackout? It was supposed to be routine. It had been done before. But here's what the operators didn't know. Reactor 4 had a fatal design flaw buried deep in its blueprints. A flaw that Soviet officials knew about and kept secret. At 1:23:04 a.m., the test began. The operators pushed the reactor to its limits. Alarms started firing. Power levels plummeted. Then they surged, beyond anything the instruments could measure. One engineer later said, "We realized something was wrong, but we didn't know how wrong." At 1:23:47 a.m., 43 seconds later, the reactor exploded, not once, twice. The second explosion tore the 1,000-ton steel lid off the reactor like it was a bottle cap. It launched burning graphite, the core of the reactor itself, into the open sky. The Chernobyl fire had begun. The firefighters who arrived first had no idea what they were walking into. They weren't told it was a nuclear explosion. They were told, "There's a roof fire, go put it out." They climbed onto the roof of Reactor 4 with standard fire hoses. They walked through radioactive graphite with their bare hands. They breathed air so toxic that within hours, their skin turned red, their bodies began to swell, and they started vomiting uncontrollably. They called it the Chernobyl tan. Within days, 28 of them were dead. Many more followed in the years after, but they did not run. Lieutenant Pravik was 23 years old. He died 16 days after the explosion. He was awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union, posthumously. These men didn't know they were dying. They thought they were doing their jobs. That is what makes Chernobyl not just a disaster, but a tragedy. Here's where it gets darker. For 36 hours after the explosion, the people of Pripyat were told nothing. Children played outside. People walked in the streets. Mothers hung laundry to dry in air that was saturated with radiation. Soviet officials knew. Scientists knew. But admitting a catastrophic failure of their crown jewel, that was unacceptable. When radiation monitors hit their maximum readings, officials didn't order evacuations. They ordered the monitors turned off. It wasn't until radiation alarms started going off in Sweden, over 1,000 miles away, that the world began to suspect something had gone catastrophically wrong inside the Soviet Union. On April 27th, 36 hours after the explosion, buses finally arrived in Pripyat. "Take documents and food for 3 days," they told residents. "You'll be back soon." No one ever went back. To stop the fire, the Soviet government deployed over 600,000 men. They were called the liquidators. Miners dug tunnels beneath the reactor by hand in 120-degree heat to prevent the burning core from breaching the water table and contaminating the groundwater of all of Europe. Helicopters flew 1,800 missions, dumping sand and lead directly into the open reactor. Pilots received lethal doses of radiation in a single shift. One man, Alexei Ananenko, volunteered to dive into a flooded basement beneath the reactor, where radioactive water threatened to trigger a second, even larger explosion. He survived. Against all odds, these men built the concrete sarcophagus, a massive steel and concrete shell that entombs Reactor 4 to this day. The Soviet government called them heroes, then forgot about them. Many died in silence, their records sealed, their sacrifices classified. Today, Pripyat is a ghost city. The Ferris wheel, that was never once ridden, still stands in the amusement park, rusting slowly into the earth. Children's gas masks lie scattered on kindergarten floors. Pianos sit in collapsed concert halls. Doll heads stare from broken windows. Nature, however, has reclaimed everything. Wolves, lynx, and bears roam the exclusion zone. Forests have swallowed entire apartment blocks. Fish fill the reactor cooling pond. The exclusion zone, 30 kilometers in every direction, will remain uninhabitable for humans for the next 20,000 years. Scientists still debate the true death toll. The official Soviet number was 31. Independent researchers estimate tens of thousands died from radiation-related illness. The full consequences, cancer rates, birth defects, generational illness, are still being counted today. Chernobyl didn't just destroy a city, it helped destroy an empire. Many historians believe the disaster accelerated the collapse of the Soviet Union by exposing the lies, the arrogance, and the rot at its core. Reactor 4 still burns today, not with fire, but with radiation, silently, invisibly, endlessly. In 2016, a new steel arch, the largest movable structure ever built by humans, was placed over the original sarcophagus. It will contain the radiation for the next 100 years. After that, someone else's problem. Chernobyl is a warning written in concrete and silence. A warning about the danger of secrecy, of arrogance, of building systems so complex that when they fail, and they always fail, there is no one equipped to stop them. The men of Reactor 4 didn't cause a disaster. They revealed one. And somewhere, right now, in a control room you'll never see, another test is being run. Another alarm is being silenced. Another manager is being told what he wants to hear. Chernobyl didn't end in 1986. It's a story that never stops happening.